We saw last night a number of very worthy Australians named at a nationally televised ceremony in Canberra as Australians of the Year. We had the Young Australian of the Year, the Elder Australian of the Year, local heroes, and the medical research pair. How good were they? Georgina Young and Richard Scollier were named Australians of the Year. Amazing people. But my next guest is another extraordinary Australian. She was last week named the Australian Newspaper's Australian of the Year. Cheng Lei, we here at Sky are so excited Cheng has joined the team, and you'll be seeing a lot more of her through 2024. Chen, welcome. Thank you for coming in on Australia Day.
Loving it.
What did you do on Australia? This time last year on Australia Day, you were locked up in a jail cell.
That's right. I was fantasising about celebrating Australia Day back in Oz, and here I am, living the dream. So,
what did you do?
In the cell, you mean?
Yes.
Well,
no, today.
Right, today. Of course. Happier times. So I took my mum and the kids to Wandon Valley to my friend's strawberry farm, and we had lunch together, you know, very young to very old, and a lot of delicious food, and as well as strawberry picking at the end.
What a contrast.
Beautiful blue skies.
What a contrast.
Yeah. And this time last year, I was pining for Australia, you know, reciting poems about Australia. And yeah, it's still a subject that I get pretty emotional about.
So tell me what life was like in Beijing before your arrest. So this is 2012 to 2020. You were hosting TV news. What was life like then?
I think I had a lot of rethinking about my past life in Beijing. I thought that I was, you know, part of society, going to fancy dinners and meeting all sorts of people, diplomats, artists, business people, and trying to understand as much as possible the political scene and the business world. And very busy, you know, juggling two kids, looking after my mother for half the year when she came, and also this very busy job and a social life. So I thought life was great. I thought I had a great job trying to explain China to the rest of the world in terms that they could understand. And then...
In hindsight, was that a good life?
I've had a lot of thinking in the past 3 years, as you can imagine. So thinking about national identity, especially poignant on a day like today, thinking about what life means, thinking about what real happiness is. And I worked out that what makes me happy are my family, close friends, and being free to say, write, do what I want, and to live in a society that's free from fear.
So we get to the latter part of 2020. The world was trying to come to terms with COVID. We were locked down here in Melbourne. What happened on the day they arrested you?
Well, the details of that are pretty upsetting, and I'd rather hold on to the fact that thanks to the decency of Australians, thanks to the help of the Aussie government, thanks to people who prayed for me from all over the place, I am now reunited with my family, and being named Australian of the Year, it's very humbling. You know, I feel that it's motivating, that I would do so much more to be worthy of that title, to make Australia an even greater place than it is.
Is it hard to think back?
Of course it is. I tried to read some of the letters that I wrote to my family, and to be honest, I cannot go beyond, you know, 1 or 2 pages. I saw a self-portrait that I drew about this time last year, and you know, I was looking at a little sliver of acrylic, you know, for the light reflection for that self-portrait, because obviously I had no mirrors for 3 years, and using the pen that I...
So you didn't see your face for 3 years?
No. It's a good thing in some respects.
Well, for some of us.
Quite scary.
For me maybe, but not for you.
No. It's, yeah. It was
those little things that I think...
That's right.
People watching you just go...
And colour. People remark on the colours that I wear every day, like ice cream colours, really joyous, you know, bright colours.
Do you ever feel the wind on your face or the sun?
No.
No.
And if you mean in the cell, well, when there was sun through a window into the exercise enclosure, we would be very respectful to each other and say, "Oh, there's a spot of sun. You take it." "Oh no, you take it." Or I've been here 5 minutes. You have a go." And that's how precious it was.
How did you stay so strong? I mean, most of us couldn't last 2 weeks in that circumstance. I mean,
everyone would.
Is it the human spirit makes you survive it?
I think I was born to adapt. I've moved 25 times in my 48 years, including a few countries and quite a few cities, and had quite a few terrible things happen to me. So I think that prepared me. And also I come from, my parents' generation went through such harrowing circumstances in China. Famine, the Cultural Revolution, people denouncing each other within the same family to stay alive, people being starved to death in front of them. I grew up with those stories.
I did read that your Australianness helped.
Definitely.
Australians don't like to be told what to do. They don't like people ordering them around. Their natural reaction is to push back against authority.
To me, being Australian was more about the larrikin aspect, that we don't see so many sacred cows and we make fun of everything. And that's a good way to survive. And also we stick up for our mates, and even if we have to pay a price for it, and we totally don't like snitching, even though I was the subject of that. But you just move on and try to be positive, because I think because we have such a beautiful life here, we really try to spread the positivity.
Did you ever get to that point of losing hope?
I think the first few months were very tough because I had no idea if I would see my family ever again. But later, once I had cellmates and I could impart positivity to them, I really discovered that helping others, we are helping ourselves. And doing all sorts of creative things with the scarcest of resources.
In hindsight,
very positive.
Cheng, do you believe that you were imprisoned as some sort of, I think they've called it a diplomatic prisoner, that Australia's relations with China had gone very poorly after COVID outbreak in Wuhan and Scott Morrison, what he said? Did you ever get a sense that that was the case?
To be honest, we can only speculate and look at timelines, look at certain events and draw our own conclusions. And that's the irony, that anything to do with state security in China is such a closely held secret that nobody will ever know. Nobody's going to tell us. I don't think any documents are going to be declassified, even in many years' time.
Just finally, what was it like when you actually physically touched your children for the first time?
You really want to make me cry, don't you, Steve?
No.
Well, at that moment that I felt their hugs and I saw my mum's crying face, it was like, I guess, an avalanche. Yeah, I think I had just controlled my mind for so long. I forgot what it was like to be held, to be told you can let go now.
We are.
So it's so incredibly wonderful to be free, to be back in Australia.
There you are today, picking strawberries.
Exactly.
We're very lucky to have you here at Sky. I appreciate
It's been
you
great
coming to have a chat with us.
Thank
Good
you,
on
Steve.
The great Cheng Lei, how amazing is that?